What is up, everyone? It's Rahul. I am back from the Salt Lake City Regional Championships that happened this past weekend. And for lack of better terms, if you're a US player, this is the only tournament we'll have in this format. So enjoy it, cherish it, whatever you want to do with it. It's done for us in the US. The Lost Origin format is done. But if you're a European player, we will have two more regionals for you guys in the form of Lille and Warsaw coming up. So what happened this weekend? And if you're looking at this top 8, it was not at all indicative of what the metagame looked like or what actually happened this weekend. We saw that Giratina was the number one most played deck in terms of meta share, followed by Kyurem. And then we had, I believe it was Palkia, Inteleon, and Mew, as well as Hisuian and Zorark V-Star was up there, and I don't really know why. Kind of crazy. But yes, I'll do my tournament report tomorrow. I wanted to cover the tournament itself in the top 8 decks today, so you guys can get a better understanding of what happened. And then on Thursday, we'll have a Lille preview of what I think, what does this do for the metagame? Because I think this is a pretty shaky, crazy tournament in terms of what actually happened. So we saw Hale Obernolt take it all down with his Arceus Guja deck, a deck that I think not a lot of players expected to do very well. A tier 2 deck at best, a lot of players were saying, including myself. I saw the potential in Guja, I just didn't believe in it completely, and I completely own up to that. I personally played Giratina because I believed it was the best deck in the format, and barring making a couple of misplays and playing pretty poorly, I did not make day 2, and that's completely on me as well. But we saw 4 Regigigas making it to the top 8, which is something that I think a lot of players did not expect. I was on Luke Morsa's Celia Network's podcast, or better discussion last week, and I did say I think Reggie's is a sleeper pick for the tournament because of how everything should go, and James Steele took full advantage of this by playing Arceus Flying Pikachu and finding those good matchups in day 2 to make it to the top 8, and then finding a Reginald's in top 8 and a top 4 to find themselves in into finals. So let's look at what some of these decks looked like. Hale's winning list played Arceus Guja. A very straightforward list playing 4 copies of Hyper Potion, which helps you find it on the turn you actually need it. 1 copy of Path to the Peak, which is very interesting because I didn't expect many Gujas to play a Path to the Peak. I thought it would be like 3 Cave and like a Court or something of that nature. 2 Parasol from Hale, making the accurate assumption that a lot of these Giratina decks would not be playing tool removal or would not only be playing 1 copy of tool removal. And Hale was right, it paid off. The Giratina decks were playing very little vacuum in this tournament. And Hale was able to set up that Guja with the Parasol, and it became an easy matchup for him. Playing a very heavy Chorus Experiment line in the Arceus V-Star deck allows Hale to kind of pick and choose the cards that he wants while getting rid of some of the worst cards in the deck. After a couple of Trinity Novas, you've got 2 Gujas powered up, your energies are pulled out of your deck, and so all you're kind of drawing into are supporters and these trainer cards. So once your board is actually set up, you don't really care about seeing another Quick Ball. You don't really care about seeing that research potentially if you're already set up and the board looks good, or like you don't want that Melanie if you're not planning on getting to that energy. So of course it becomes better to put that like Melanie and that Ultra Ball or something into the Lost Zone so you can get to those Hyper Potions easier. You're digging 5 deep, which is a pretty impressive number. Chorus is 5 deep, Morny is 5 deep, Research is 7 deep, and Melanie is 3. So Melanie and Avery are only 3, but they do establish your board and disrupt your opponent's board simultaneously. So these cards kind of need to be played in the deck, but the rest of the deck does what it's supposed to do, and congratulations to Hale for taking it down. 1 copy of Big Charm is also very cool. I really like the list. The list is very straightforward, very simple, and it gets the job done. So congratulations to Hale for taking this whole tournament down. Then we saw James Steele taking 2nd place with Arceus Flying Pika, a deck that a lot of players, including myself, had written off. I tried Arceus Flying Pika actually with the Espeon VMAX, which I'm very happy to see this card doing well because I thought this card had a lot of potential coming into this format, and I was proven wrong very quickly, but James was able to bring it back and take it to a finals berth. Espeon says that if there's energy attached to your Pokemon, no effects of attacks can take place, which means that Sableye does not do damage. That means that Giratina does not do the Star Requiem V-Star. So James opted to play 2 copies of Drapion in this crazy contraption of a deck, and it looks not as consistent off the bat if you look at it because James has a lot of starters that are not Arceus or Pika. So there's a lot of quote-unquote bad starters, but James is playing a copy of Volo to make sure that you can get to that bad Pokemon out of play very quickly if you need to. Like if you open the Drapion for some reason, or you open, I don't know, Luminion or something like that, like the Volo gets you there. There isn't recovery in James's list, which is very, very interesting to me because I felt like maybe there was an Ordinary Rod in here to kind of get some of these 2-2 lines or these one-ofs back. But nope, James just did not. He said, no, we're just going in. One copy of Powerful Energy, which is really cool because with Powerful and Choice Belt, you are able to one-shot 220 HP Pokemon with a DTE. And no Zigzagoon is required for that to happen. 4 Marnie, 3 Path, the age-old Marnie Path problem or solution. I don't know. It's a problem for some, a solution for others. And it did the job for James. It took him all the way to finals, taking down 2 Reginalds in top 8 and fighting himself in top 8. Up next, we have Nicholas's Moffatt's 3rd place Giratina V-Star list. Now, Nicholas played something very consistent, very good across the board. 4 Capture Energy, 4 Battle VIP Pass, ensuring that his turn 1 would be very, very strong. The Stadium of Choice being collapsed. 3-3 Giratina, going a little bit heavier on the Giratina to make sure you can win those mirror matches, but sacrificing a little bit in that Lost Box matchup across the board. And no Vacuum for Nicholas because I feel like he didn't expect the tool removal or didn't feel like he needed it. 1 copy of Quick Ball, but that's supplemented by the captures and the VIP. I feel like if any cuts would come, the captures would become Quick Balls or whatever you would like it, vice versa. The switches, nets, ropes, all the counts look correct to me. And the deck is very powerful with the Drapion as well. This is very similar to the list that I played, maybe like 5 cards off, so I can't really bark on its power. It's very, very strong. And I think the Giratina is one of the best decks in the format. And will be good, I think, moving forward into the next one as well. So congratulations to Nicholas for taking this one down. Now, the coolest deck, in my opinion, because I played at the World Championships, and huge props to the Azul Garcia group with Azul, Caleb Gedimer, and Grant Manley all making it into the top 8 with this 60-card list, which is a crazy, crazy impressive accomplishment to put 3 players into the top 8 of one of these almost 1,000-person regionals, was Regigigas. Now, the interesting thing about Azul's group's list was that they did not play any copies of Boss's Orders, but rather played 1 copy of this Reggie LAKEY that snipes with targeted bolt. The idea was that they didn't really expect decks to play Manaphy, so you were able to snipe exactly what you needed to snipe after hitting into it. And I think they were right for the most part. It worked out exactly in their favor that way. They were able to capitalize on the fact that people did not play Manaphy too much at this tournament. Sporting only 3 copies of Ordinary Rod, a little bit greedy, and 3 copies of Net, they were able to fit in 1 copy of Gear for a little bit of added consistency to make sure you have 9 supporter outs potentially, and 1 copy of Yellhorn to make sure that you can kind of deal with Lone Ice Cube. Lone Ice Cube was a problem that people were doing in their Lost Box list, getting to that like 1 Ice Cube Thornton area, or even in Palkia, they were able to get down to that 1 Ice Cube and eliminate the rest of their board with the Nets. And if you could play the Yellhorn, you just win that matchup because the Ice Cube will eventually damage itself to the point where it gets knocked out. Azul's group playing 2 copies of Gift Energy. One of the best cards for this deck. Makes it one of the best decks in the format, in my opinion, and Reggie's is not to be underestimated. Now, I don't really know how you can tech for it or play better for it or whatnot moving forward, but Reggie's is around to stay. You guys should be prepared until rotation when we lose some of these more impactful cards that are making it good. But again, the Marnie Path strategy has been subscribed to, making sure that Tina decks, Lost Box decks, Palkia decks, other decks in the format just do not get cards to work with, and you have Gift Energy and Regidrago to keep putting cards into your hand, so it makes your deck better. And now, Drew Bennett Kennett, the former regional champion of Salt Lake City, Utah, came back to defend his title and almost made it all the way through the gauntlet, finding himself losing to Hale in top 8, I believe. And Drew, I think it was Hale or James. I forgot who he lost to, but he found himself staring down the barrel of a bad matchup. And Drew played Reggie's as well. He played 1 copy of Boss's Orders to give himself a chance against these Flying Pika decks, playing 5 copies of Stadiums with 3 Path and 2 Stop, which is a little bit crazy. Only 2 copies of Shoes, which is, again, a little bit, I think, lost on the consistency side, but more of the tech side, which is Drew's specialty always. 1 copy of the quote-unquote bad Regidrago to be able to do 270 to something that has already got, hit with the Terra Spark. And we also have the Battle Lucky here as well to snipe down some Pokemon. Interesting to note, there's only 1 copy of Gift Energy here in Drew's list, and 2 copies of Marnie, playing 2 copies of Bruno to kind of fill your hand up as well after one of those turns that's so crucial. But that's also supplemented by the fact that there's only 1 Gift Energy, so it makes sense. 3 copies of Net again, and 1 copy of Balloon, which makes, again, a lot of sense in this list. And a funny, interesting observation is Drew did choose to play 2 Registeel this time around, not playing 2 in Baltimore, which cost him his tournament. So congratulations to Drew. Another top 8. Drew has been the most consistent player post-COVID, I think, with half of the tournaments this year top 8ing or better, which is crazy impressive. Very good for Drew. And then finally, we have Caleb Rogerson, who played Palkia V-Star. Our tried and true deck, the deck that I think will be around until rotation, until the entire engine says sayonara. One of the most consistent decks in the format, one of the best decks in the format, and sporting a list that all of us have seen so many times over and over again. Nothing new in this list. No Drapion, no Ice Cube, none of these crazy tech cards that people have been trying out in the deck. Just basically going back to the bare bones consistency of what the NAIC list looked like from Isaiah Bradner and company. And this list it works. It works very, very well, and that's the reason it's continuing to do well. Because Palkia V-Star as an attacker, as a Pokemon, is one of the strongest Pokemon in the format. And if you can get the ball rolling and set up, you have one of the strongest turn 2s in the game. Turn 1, it's a little bit dicey if you can't find Battle VIP Pass, or Irida if you're going second, but you have the strongest turn 2 in the game. That being said, this was a crazy tournament, a cool tournament. I'm sure we'll see the statistics come up later, but this was a tournament that was interesting to say the least in how it ended, and we'll have a meta discussion tomorrow. Tomorrow or Thursday, I'll decide how I want to do it to get you guys prepped for Lille, and then the tournament report on the other day. So whoever cares about me, let me know in the comments how you want to deal with that, but that will be all from me, folks. Thank you for everyone who did come up this weekend and say hi. I'll address that more in my tournament report video, but you guys are awesome. I hope you guys have an amazing day. And yeah, that's the conclusion of Salt Lake.